I might have to shorten that entrance. Good morning, everyone. This is John Hansman with the Business and Bytes podcast, and we've got our friends here with us, which I'm super excited about. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves so you can tell us whatever you want to say.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, I'm Ryan from Sundance Networks.
Hey guys, I'm Emilio, the owner of AM3 Technology and Cybersecurity here in South Florida.
South Florida, where it's warm and sunny, bro. But you know, you gotta enjoy it before hurricane season. Is that?
Yes, really it's about to get. So my AC went out a couple days ago, and it was a little brutal. It's the heat wave weekend.
Oh my gosh, is it still out?
No, we got it repaired Saturday morning.
Okay. But yeah, they probably have faster people doing AC tech than we do over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here it's like we don't really need it in Washington until the summer, so everybody procrastinates and then they're all busy. Well, we have a really exciting show today. I'm super excited to talk a little bit about a bunch of different topics. We're going to talk about cybersecurity and how AI is playing a role in cybersecurity. We're going to talk about cybersecurity liability insurance and why it's important. And we're going to talk about, what we do. Why having an MSP, managed service provider like us, moves the needle for your business. And then we're going to talk about some fun things with the AI in the house. Now, it could be good or it could be scary. Who knows what it's going to look like when we talk about the home things. Are the robots, vacuums going to take over your home? Stay tuned. And we'll tell you the answer in our last segment of the day. But we're going to jump right in to AI and cybersecurity defense. I think what's fascinating, this has been around longer than what most people realize. What I mean by that is when we look at banking's probably been using AI for years when you think about automated notifications to tell you that fraud's happening. It's something that's been around for a while, but we're seeing it more prevalent in our industry and our tools. And so, we're going to talk about that. What happens when a Russian jumps into your email at 2 a.m.? How are we handling that? What tools are we using? Emilio?
I'm sorry, repeat that last part. It cut out for a second.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. So we're talking about when we're looking at traditional antivirus not working, what are the tools that we have in place that protect our clients and that have AI built in?
Many things. Most EDRs now. I don't know if we want to really name any specifically, but I know when I'm watching,
Only the good one.
Sentinel-1, Signet. I was sitting in a couple of their presentations a while back, and it would show how the AI would help correlate activities that are happening together. Or for example, this is a good one. So the AI in the EDRs can see how many files are opened at a certain time. So if somebody opens 1,000 files within 2 seconds and modifies 1,000 files within 2 seconds, it knows that a human is not capable of opening that. So it automatically starts to isolate the system and say, well, maybe it's ransomware, maybe it's something, but something's going on here, right? Or it starts seeing that it's parallel jumping from system to system, and then it can kind of isolate that. So, that's one example. I think it's a really good example.
Well,
one of the early ones that were out there.
What I always tell people is the big difference between antivirus, the old style, is it was a file to file look. Like it's kind of like when you sit down and you look at your credit card bills and you kind of look, go down the line and you try to find the match. That's how old antivirus is. Versus when we talk about EDR today, we're really talking about behavior monitoring. We're talking about there's a baseline for how a computer and how normal activity should operate. And that EDR is looking for anomalies in that behavior to find something that's gone awry.
Very well said. You should sell EDR.
There's the other thing that we've been seeing a lot of is SIEM, and that allows us to connect on-premise to cloud resources, and that also uses a lot of AI capability to say, okay, hey, what's going on out in the cloud and the other person's computer versus what's going on right here on my local network. And
I think that's the advantage of having a operation center, like have an actual security operations center. You've got people who can look at those logs, make sure that those logs are actually, coming to a place that's monitored 24/7, and then they know how to respond and look through. There's always going to be anomalies. There's always going to be weird stuff that's benign, but when you hire the right people, they know what's benign and what's not.
But it also helps so like the AI at the SOC or the SIEM, 24/7 SIEM. It can also help them. Imagine how many guys you need to correlate certain logs. As Ryan mentioned, we're connecting this to cloud services. This is gathering logs from our firewalls, from our endpoints, from pretty much any device that provides logs. This system is gathering it. And now it needs to correlate the activity that's happening, the actions. And then a human needs to look at it and verify and then do their due diligence. So AI plays a big part in that, right? How long did it take a regular person to look at the logs? How long did it take a regular person that has AI assisting them to look at the logs? I'm sure it's a lot of time they're saving.
Yeah, AI can just consume billions and billions of lines of logs in seconds, and just way more than a human can do. But then it can notify a live human that's monitoring things at a secure operations center SOC, and then the humans can then respond to it and shut things off, rather than them spending hours or days or months going through billions of lines of logs. And it allows us to have billions of eyeballs rather than just one or two sets of eyeballs looking at those logs.
And you think about how much money it saves now, having AI built into some of this technology, being able to look at things way quicker. I mean, that's whether you're talking about antivirus or whether you're talking about just basic business tools. That's where AI just wins out, right? It literally can come in and do things faster than anything else. Great example. Yesterday, I got a crazy long email from somebody asking a bunch of questions, and I looked at it. It was literally like, you ever get a email and it's literally like the text is filling up the box like perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's like 3 pages, and you're like, that's a lot of freaking text. It's a long question. And so I fed it into AI. I said, hey, can you figure out all the questions that they're asking and make sure that I answer all these questions back in the email? And so it did a really great job of bullet pointing. That would have taken me 3 times longer to do that process and be thorough than it did. I was able to get that thing wrapped up in like 30 minutes of having AI ask me questions based on their questions to solve, it was great. It was phenomenal. And you put that into just all these other things we're doing in security, and it can do so much more, so much faster. And having an AI tool really does expedite the ability to keep your business secure a lot faster.
So I think one of the biggest takeaways for our listeners right now should be check your security stack, check your cybersecurity stack or anything in your business. And if it's not using AI at some type of level, even at the most simplest, then it's time to level up, I think.
And here's the thing I would say. If I was to ask you any of these questions, or I was to ask you who's doing your IT, and they say, oh, I've got a guy who does it, he's really smart, it's a really good time to get a risk assessment. Because I literally talked to somebody who's like, well, yeah, he worked for the NSA or something like that yesterday. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Is he charging you anything? No, he's not charging me. Okay. You're probably not getting all the tools you need.
This isn't really like futuristic mumbo jumbo. This is like real. This is where the rubber hits the road. And AI is just making things better and more secure, as the cyber criminals out there are just finding ways to just bang away on networks and try to hack into networks, and they're able to do it billions of times faster, or at least millions of times faster. And now we have the tools that can combat that at the same speed. And that's something that we've never had until the last year or 2 years.
Which is great. I mean, that means they're using it too, but that's why.
So that leads us to cyber liability insurance. So imagine your business gets hacked, and just like we're talking about right now, your data is exposed, you're down for a week. Maybe someone's suing you, one of the clients that you have the records. What's your backup plan, right? What do you start doing? John, start with you.
Well, if you don't have cybersecurity insurance, you don't necessarily have a backup plan. And I think, part of having a really good infrastructure, while I trust all the tools that I deploy, or else I wouldn't use them, those tools are not 100% when we look at the speed in which things are changing. You look at the speed in which we're literally, as providers and the cybersecurity world in general, is trying to keep up, it's still not fast enough. And so, tools do an amazing job of preventing and keeping the hackers out, but it's not 100%. Like I've seen so many case studies of people who did all the right things and still had a major cybersecurity breach.
Well, I think that should go without. I think that should go without being said. I always tell my clients, look, I can't tell you that I can 100% protect you. I can tell you that we can put the proper protection solutions in place. And if something were to happen, we put you in the best position to mitigate the risk, of course, and to recover quickly. Because telling anybody that you can 100% protect them, I think, is false. So I think having the cyber liability insurance is the backup to everything. When you present the insurance, you have to say, look, I did all this. I checked off all these boxes that you told me I needed, and I still got hacked. So now make me whole again, per se. That's what the client would be saying to the insurance company.
100%. Yeah, and the insurance is just a safety net. The insurance would cover any kind of breach cost, remediating things, would cover legal costs, or recover, in most cases, lost income. It's that safety net out there. Sure, you want to have the best defenses in the world, but having that safety net is like putting your seatbelt on in your car. It's like having your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance. It's just so paramount to do it, and going around without it is like going around without wearing a helmet when you're on a motorcycle.
Right. Totally.
I think it can also help for contract negotiations. Your clients, there's certain fields I would say demand it. So, when we're marketing, when we're looking for clients, we got to look for those that have it, people that need to protect, people that understand risk. Lawyers, CPAs, mortgage brokers. Not that we shun people that come to us and say, hey, we need cybersecurity. But from our perspective, there's a couple verticals or industries that definitely need to have this type of stuff and are mandated.
Well, and the thing is, liability insurance is important because I think most people don't realize the actual amount of money it costs to recover from an actual data breach or cybersecurity incident. It's not a go to Best Buy and buy 25 new computers and you're good. I've heard that so many times, it drives me up the wall. Because it's like, I'll just buy all new computers. They don't understand that the hardware isn't the value, it's the data.
The damage is done by the time
the damage is done. Exactly. So you've got to think about, what does it take to get law firms involved, to notify your clients? What does it take to protect them if you had a real data breach with real PII? Like, what does that look like? What happens when you have a business that runs on uptime? So think about like dental offices, medical, think people who do a lot of x-rays. If they have ransomware and they're collecting $60,000 to $80,000 a day, a week being down is a freaking ton of money. Like it's a lot of money they're losing, and they still have to pay employees, pay their rent, pay their insurance, pay all those things. So you've got money going out, you've got money lost, and you could talk easily $200,000, $500,000, $1 million in a loss. That's where insurance is important. Now, the double-edged sword to that is if you don't do the right things, insurance is just not going to come.
Yeah,
now, I'll make the public disclaimer for the three of us. We're not insurance agents. So we're IT guys. So it's important. I always like to say that so that somebody doesn't come out to me and tell me that I'm acting as an insurance agent. We're IT guys.
Your best
That's a
bet
good
is
point. Go ahead. All right. Can you touch on the whatever you're going to say, but touch also on the negligence of not doing what's on the insurance liability?
Yes. So we're reviewing at least 3 to 5 insurance policies a week for our clients, not as an insurance person, but as an IT and cybersecurity professional. We're making sure that they have all the requirements that are in the cybersecurity insurance. There's a lot of protections that have to be in place in order to successfully get a claim covered should there be a claim in the future, and then proof of those. So it's not just sign in and checking all the dots in the thing and sending it in and paying for it. There's actually a follow-through part. So, the best bet is, if you don't have cyber liability, though, is talk to your agent, talk to your broker, find out if they can help you with that. And if they can't help you with that, reach out to one of us. We can refer you to many brokers that can do all that. Our goal at the end of the day is making sure people are covered and just making sure businesses don't go out of business. There's been many cases of businesses just not being able to recover from a breach, or not being able to recover from something that might seem seemingly simple, but that could be millions of dollars that the businesses doesn't have, sitting in their bank account to pay for that.
I think it's valuable to talk to your broker about the difference between cybersecurity liability insurance as a standalone policy and as the included fluff that some insurance companies stick on their accounts, that they're some money, but they're usually not enough. So when you talk about your big box insurance companies, the State Farms, for example, some of them just don't have adequate products. They'll tell you, I don't have an adequate cybersecurity product. It's not something we sell. So sometimes you need to look for your local small brokerages. Those are the ones that actually generally have that kind of product, as opposed to the big box, like the State Farms. I have State Farm for my auto insurance. I love my local broker. Hi, Kevin.
Didn't we interview him last season?
We did interview him, and he was a phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
We'll have him back. He was awesome. But Kevin is awesome, but they just don't have adequate cybersecurity liability product. So we had to go to a local brokerage that does multiple different companies for insurance, and they were able to provide us with an adequate type of insurance. So
but I just
most of us,
I'm
building a lot of relationships with local insurance companies out here in Spokane and in Western Washington. But there's some national ones. There's a lot of them out there, and just it's worth asking around. And I'd shop around, make sure apples to apples and price, because I've seen cybersecurity insurance have wild swings in pricing. That's insane. Between two carriers.
I've seen them with threefold differences. Looking at two policies, one is $1,500 a month, one's $4,500 a month with the same exact coverage. It's just crazy. And there's also insurance brokers and agents that specialize in industries. We've come to find out that they specialize in medical, or they specialize in automotive or whatever. So, there's people that have specialty policies that tailor to your industry. So you don't have to just get a general one. We do a car dealership that has a car dealership insurance, and they got a specific one for a car dealership, which worked out great for them.
I think the wild insurance company numbers are because they don't actually want to do it.
What would you guys say? What would you guys say to a business owner that says, I just need cybersecurity insurance, but I don't need a company to cybersecure me?
I would refer them to say that comment to their insurance company.
Yeah. We have a meeting.
Their insurance company, one of two things is going to happen. The insurance company is going to sell them this weird bundle of services. I've seen that in quotes for cybersecurity insurance,
you're right.
Which is wildly inadequate still. And it doesn't have any support. It's literally you can say, oh, well, we installed virus protection and EDR on your thing. But if you have a problem, you'll have to call somebody local. So it won't do much for you from a day-to-day perspective, and it's still inadequate for the type of attacks that we're seeing today, business email compromises, all of those things. Or they're going to say, no, you need all these things. Here's a list. And the list is really simple. It's the form you fill out when you do the questionnaire.
Yeah.
So here's the cheat code. The answer generally is yes to everything. Okay. But if
If you're
the
listening,
answer yes and you don't have it, your insurance company potentially could decide not to cover you if you have it.
to the audience, if you're listening to this and you want to know the 15 ways to protect your business, hit up anybody on this podcast and we'll send you a free PDF with a checklist on what you need to do within your business.
Exactly.
Something else to remember is if you don't have those things in place, and so let's say the insurance company gives you a checklist and you check no, your premium is higher. So I'm not saying hiring a cybersecurity company is going to save you money, but at least save you money on the cyber insurance cost.
We have to hop on a call later with one of our clients, insurance agent, because they got approved, they got binded, but now they want to go through in detail all the services. Even though we've listed them out on the questionnaire for this client, we're going through and step by step figuring out exactly what they need. And because the actual agent said that he had another MSP that said they had all this, they ended up getting a breach and they didn't have what they said they had. So this agent is actually going the extra mile for all of his clients and sitting on the phone with the IT people and bringing his IT person on to go over it all, which this is a first, but this is going to be probably a standard going forward that we're seeing.
Good thing you got that GRC. We don't have to name the provider, but
yeah, totally. And documentation's key. Make sure your MSP just has all the documentation ready. So if there's ever an issue, you're not caught without that coverage.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on and let's start talking about why outsource to an MSP. Why do you want an MSP to come in and take over your either day-to-day operations or your cybersecurity or lead with that foot?
I mean, let's be real. Cyber threats don't take off. They just don't take off. And they're working all night. They're working all weekend. And most MSPs are going to have the security and protections in place that have 24/7 monitoring, watching, eyeballs on all the analytics that are coming in all day long.
I will say you still got to be choosy and I think you need to ask those questions because we're still seeing MSPs that don't do cybersecurity. There's still a couple local IT companies that are like literally undercutting cybersecurity focused MSPs. Oh, you don't need all that crap, and then we just basically have to, don't get that client and we just wait until they call us 6 to 12 months later. So that's happened to me a couple times where I've had somebody say, we don't need that. Those other guys going to do it for us. And 6 to 12 months later, they come back around and they call us because they had a cybersecurity attack.
So I'll give you guys an example. Sorry, Ryan. So
go ahead.
I was doing a presentation, and of course, sometimes the price of cybersecurity, depending on the institution, can be a little costly. This was a company in the hundreds of users. And they said, well, if you want us to do this, we have to go to market. And they went to market and they got some quotes. And then I said, well, we got to make sure the quotes are apples to apples because I'm offering you a cybersecurity package and they might just be offering you regular IT services. Mm-hmm. On the questionnaire from one of the IT providers that were bidding, they said, why do you need so much security? And I said to the client, look, I'm not telling you go with me, go with them, or do regular IT or do cybersecurity, but think about this. We eat our own dog food. So internally, whether we do the baseline managed IT services or cybersecurity, my team is fully protected. Do you want a company who's questioning security and cybersecurity? That means they're not doing it. I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus, but those are the type of things you have to evaluate. If they don't show that they're practicing security on their day-to-day, is that the person that you really want managing you?
And Emilio, what do you say when people are like, "Oh, that's just way too much money"? Like, how do you kind of come back and explain that it's well worth the protection?
Well, by that time that I show them the amount of money, I've showed them what it is we need to protect. So then I show relevance, right? Yes, we're spending X
Right.
amount, but we're trying to pretend X amount, right? It's a much larger number that I'm trying to protect than what you're paying me. And usually by the time I show the value, that the business is going to get and the solution and how we're tailoring the solution, I'm not saying that objection doesn't happen, because it definitely does. But I usually have my ducks in a row for whatever it is. If it's a CPA firm, I kind of break down to them, kind of like what John spoke about earlier. The cost of this might be a lot. The cost of not doing it is even more, right? What's going to happen if you do get breached? Law firms, lawyers, forensics, breach coach, making your clients whole. Pretend you have to pay $30 per person, right? Credit monitoring per year for the next 5 years. And then think about how many records you have in your CRM or your line of business application. 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 times 30 times 3 years. Is that number more than what you're going to spend on us for cybersecurity? I can't prevent a hack, but I can tell you that if they take that data, it would be encrypted and they wouldn't be able to use it. So yes, we still had a breach, but now you don't have to pay, reparations to people for their information being leaked. So I try to show them both sides of the coin. Like John said, if you're getting something for free, then you're probably not getting that much good of a value. So yes, you are paying this price tag, but let me show you how we're protecting you for that price tag and how it can save you in the long run, or how it'll cost you more if you don't have the security.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I broke this down. I give this, of course, I give out the book that I co-authored out, and I talk about it. It was like looking through, my chapter here. And one of the things that most people just don't realize is that when you have a cybersecurity breach, you have your direct financial loss. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Operational downtime, remediation and recovery. So you got to pay for a company like ours to, help you recover. Regulatory fines, CPAs, law firms, medical, all of those can get fines from the government. Reputational damage. If you're a CPA, a law firm, or somebody who collects data and you're not handling it correctly, are your clients going to want to do business with you? Probably
Correct.
not. Like if you're a CPA and you lose all their employees' social security numbers for their payroll, people are probably not going to be as easily forgiving if they find out you didn't do the right things. You got loss of intellectual property and increased insurance are some of the things that that I put in this chapter here. And one of the things I like to tell people is that we're trying to protect you from having all those bad things happen to you. And we're trying to educate you to make you understand that we don't live in a world where you can just swap out your computers because of the internet. You just can't. There's no way to do it. And most everything people are doing right now is on the internet. It's not on those computers. So we're protecting multiple different parts of a business in the cybersecurity infrastructure. It's not just the computers. That's why you can't just be like, well, we got our virus protection, we're all good. Like that old way of thinking that is archaic doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, and to me, would we as business owners and the audience watching, would you as business owners go hire H&R Block to do your taxes, or would you hire a licensed CPA in your own backyard that has your back and is going to do everything right? Sure, it might be more expensive, but you're not going to end up in jail because the CPA did it all right.
So the initial question you posed, Ryan, when it comes to the price stuff, I've had the other side of the coin. I've had a company that couldn't afford me, and they said, they couldn't afford me, right? I said, hey, what's your revenue? She's like, oh, we're 3 users. This year we might hit 80,000. So I did some of the math for her, and I was like, look, this is going to be a good chunk of your revenue for the time being. And she said, I can't afford not to have you. And you know what that made me do? That made me say, let's work something out. Let's figure this out.
Right.
Because if somebody comes to me and they're like, I care about this so much that even if I could barely pay you, I want to figure something out, I would work with them.
Yeah.
You know,
Baby
I can
steps.
I can
Baby steps.
understand that. I'm like, all right, let's do this. We'll do shorter term, and as you know, you guys grow, then we restructure what we need to restructure.
Well,
So
it's
someone
also
telling me it's too expensive is just kind of, then you don't care enough about
it
what
also
you're trying to protect.
it also makes me want to be more apt. Not that I don't want to help my clients grow already, but it makes me want to be more apt to find referrals and find people to send over to those people. Like that's part of business relationship, is that I want to help my clients grow. If somebody needs a roof in Thurston County, I'm going to send them to one of my roofing clients. You know, if somebody
Yeah.
needs a law firm, I'm going to send them over to that law firm that I'm working with. But when you have somebody like that who's just at that beginning of their business, we really want to help them grow. Like we really want to see them grow, because of course it does, in long term, it does benefit us as we see a growing company. Their growth is our growth, and
it helps with the community. It just makes the community a
100%.
better place.
Yeah, we're people in the community too, just trying to help keep our friends in business safe and help their businesses grow. And I think now we're adding the AI into most of our products and services. And I think when you asked the question earlier, can an MSP help save you money? I think with the things that we're adding into AI consulting, into what we're doing, I think the answer is going to be a resounding yes, even more so than it is now. I don't know about you, because I've been, even as just regular services, been able to go in and audit bills for clients of Microsoft, of tools they're using that's doubled up, and been able to go into a lot of clients and save them money. One of them was like we found like $1,000 or more of just extra subscriptions and things they were paying for that we saved them. But then we look at time savings of AI now. And this is where a really good MSP that's positioned to help you with that kind of stuff can be again, Ryan loves it when I say it, move the needle for your business by helping you navigate this stuff. How do you get your employees to start using AI across the board? Is there an application that can automate things like accounting for you? There's a lot of things out there that can help save time and money. And it's just a matter of figuring out what those things are. And one of us could sit down with you and actually help you navigate that stuff.
Yeah, I just got off a call where I was I have like a 10 or 15-minute AI presentation where I go over using it for 80% of things that gives you 20% output, and then vice versa, 20% that gives you 80% output. And the feedback is usually very good. People are like, oh, I was just using it for, to make my emails prettier or for a marketing slogan. And then when I show them how to use it to move the needle, as John says, it's definitely an eye opener.
Yeah, it's priceless. I mean, it's so priceless what we can do, not only to help your cybersecurity posture, but also what we can do with AI to help businesses advance to the next level, to get to the next level without having to invest millions of dollars to get to the next level. It's limitless.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you're not working with an MSP yet to either do some AI training, AI consulting, your cybersecurity, or just your day-to-day IT operations, feel free to give one a call and ask them, what are they doing and how are they doing compliance? Interview them like you would interview anybody else. How are you guys handling this? How are you guys handling that? If they're not doing something in-house that you would want done at your level, then you know how to proceed from there.
Yeah, 100%. I think
So let's move over to some fun with AI.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So, John, do you have any fun new things that you've done with AI at home or with your kids, or?
Not yet. Nothing fun. Because I'm spending so much time doing AI for work.
I have a fun thing that I just did this week. So my mom and my mother-in-law are artists, and they just were like, what can we do with this AI? Like, and really they said that, and I was like, they both said it separately to me, and I was like, well, let's take a picture of your most recent art piece. Took it, put it in AI, and just asked AI to come back with recommendations on what they can do to their art piece. And sure, they're both accomplished artists, but they both got like some nuggets out of AI that were like, wow, we can do that. So it was just such a cool thing to see somebody that's, really into their art, and they can take AI now and harness it and use it to do things with.
My kid's so young, he doesn't, and he's a year and a half, so he's not using AI yet.
I heard a good one today. I heard a gentleman say he was going to Universal Studios down here in Florida, a theme park, and they have about 2 or 3 parks, and he was going to be there for a span of 2 days. So he plugged all the information into ChatGPT, and he asked it, "How can I make sure that I ride as much rides as I can, and in the most efficient way?" And it told them what time to go to each ride, and which
What?
time, and where to use the fast pass. So it kind of gave him like the strategy, like, go to this ride, then do this ride, then get your fast pass for this ride. And I was like, okay, I didn't
Did
think
it
about that.
work?
Yeah, he said it was great. He said it
That's
worked.
amazing.
Freaking
I mean,
amazing.
I was talking with
I'm
somebody.
sure there's some
here
adjustment, but
she's going to do a trip out with the Olympic National Forests, and she's going to go to Mount Rainier over in the west side of the state. She's here over in Spokane, and she was telling me yesterday that she literally had AI do the whole itinerary, find all the campgrounds for her that she could stay at, and literally plan her whole trip. Now, what's crazy is she did it herself beforehand, just because she wanted to see. And then so she did a little bit of research, and then she had AI do it. And she's like, it literally picked all the same campgrounds that I picked. Like it found all the same information that I found.
Crazy.
So, but in half the time, right? Or probably even less than that.
It's just crazy. It's crazy.
So,
I mean,
there's a lot of, I'm a part of the RV community because I'm a full-time RVer. And I started listening to a lot of podcasts, and there's a lot of talk about people who are using AI to plan their trips. Like it's literally finding them the campgrounds, because now AI can reach, ChatGPT and all of them can reach out to the internet and go do searching.
Yeah.
I will say, actually, the most recent personal thing I did for using AI was I'm looking for a water heater for my RV. That's one of the instant water heaters. I was trying to find the best one for the best value, and I used the deep research of ChatGPT, and I said, find me the best hot water heater or water heater. My wife gives me a hard time when I say hot water heater. The best water heater like that is Insta-Hot for my RV.
Opposed to the cold water heaters.
I know, exactly. Right. The regular water heater.
my wife does the same thing, so I get it.
It's so funny. And she gives me a lot of crap about it. So, and I did deep research, and it literally pulled forums. People found complaints for each, like the different ones, found the pricing. It did a lot. It did like 10 minutes of research and came back with a very good top 5 list based on reviews and all of that stuff.
I was talking to a DJ recently. Friend of mine does DJ work. It does his gigs, and he actually, yeah, exactly. He actually uses AI. He takes his playlist and he says, "Here's my," and I was blown away how he does this. So he just takes his playlist and he says, "Okay, is this appropriate?" So what I did is I got on the computer with him and I said, "Well, tell it what your audience is, tell it your demographic, tell it what the event is, tell it what all that is." And like he actually took the AI and it took his, I don't know, 50 song set, and it actually rearranged it. And then it also did stuff appropriate for the age range when they were growing up. I think he was doing it for 50 and 60-year-olds. So he found songs that when they were in their prime and their teens, and he looked at it and he was like, "Oh my gosh,
that's amazing!"
Like just a simple thing like that.
Amazing.
And he gave me feedback the other night, and he said, "Wow, he said he's not going to do it any other way ever again."
I did a similar thing we have lunch and learns that we do, and we're doing like a workshop, and so we have a beginning segment, We have like a time when people are working and they just need maybe some background music, and we have our exit. And so I had it create playlist for each part of our lunch and learns. So what's the music to get people pumped up when they're coming in? What's the music for when they're trying to focus? What's the music when they're on their way out the door? What's the music when they're getting lunch? I had it create playlists for me for those particular things. And it did a pretty good job. The playlists are great. Pretty phenomenal.
What do you guys think about making it do AI storytelling? So, for example, Storybird or ChatGPT can help you create a custom bedtime story, and it can use your kids as the main characters. So it involves them a little bit, and they start thinking that it's cool. I've also seen somebody take their kids' drawings, someone like what Ryan mentioned, take their kids like Scrabble drawings, put them into ChatGPT, and say, "All right, build a character out of it." And now the kid sees their drawing like coming to life. Just something to do, interact with your kids.
I think some museums are doing that now, where they're taking the drawings, they're taking images of them, and then they're putting them up on screens so the kids can see it. It's just so cool what you can do with that to make it takes what somebody's actually doing and creating and makes it live and makes it move. And it's just
I'm excited for my kid to get older for some of that stuff. Like, I'm just, because that would be fun. It would be fun to take a story. But you could customize it if you use, we've been talking a little bit. We've been talking about the CRIT, the CRIT format of asking, getting AI to interact in a really great way from the very beginning. That sounds like a really good fun. I think I'm going to build a children's storybook with AI this weekend.
I think that'd be cool.
This sounds like fun.
One thing I'm doing as a volunteer, I'm helping in a local event here, and I've actually had I built a bot to basically scrape their whole website, and then we're going to put it on their website as a chat bot that people can ask questions to about the event. And awesome. I've queried it, and then I've checked the facts that it's replying with, and it is so accurate. It's more accurate than a person that's talking about it, because it's actually got all the data right at its fingertips. And
I actually had AI, our chat bot, on our website the other day. Had somebody who was like residential call in or use the chat, was looking for something for their MacBook Pro, and our AI tool actually told them where to go look for what they were looking for. It literally redirected. They weren't a good fit. It literally redirected them to the right place to look. And the person was like, "Oh, thanks. That's a really great idea." I remember I was looking at the chat log like, that's just amazing. It's the same thing I would have said. Like, it was amazing.
Well, somebody must have programmed that there, John.
Yeah, I did. I did. For sure. I made it as awesome as I could. Well, it's time for us to wrap up. What a great show today, talking about cybersecurity, a little bit of AI, a little bit of what we do for a living as MSPs. We definitely know from this conversation, cybersecurity shouldn't be an option for small business. You should be doing something. And you should, at the very minimum, grab our 15 ways to prevent a cybersecurity attack pamphlet that each of us have. We know that cybersecurity insurance is necessary to make sure you have enough money if you have an attack. And I think MSPs are the secret weapon for cybersecurity, saving businesses, but then also finding places to make businesses more profitable. I think that most people don't realize the power that we have to help businesses be more efficient.
Whether you have 3 people or you have 300 people, these are considerations you have to make. And 100%. A 3-person company is going to be a 3-person company is going to be a 300-person company soon. Yeah. So you just have to plan now and plan small, but you want to be able to scale quickly, and it's limitless. Everything we're doing is limitless nowadays with AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Well, what do we got? I think it's so as we wrap up, we're like looking at the script, like, who's going to say the important things about
Come on, John. We don't follow scripts.
No, I know we don't follow scripts here. Well, then I'll say it. Hey, so a couple things, just quick housekeeping things. If you like what you're hearing, it's going to get better as we grow and as we figure ourselves out. As we're 3 people just starting this adventure together. But if you like what you're hearing and you're finding value in this, please make sure on Facebook you like this video. That helps our algorithm for all of our things. We're streaming this on I think I'm counting 5 Facebook pages, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button. That really helps us grow this. And then also, if you like the content, but you don't have the ability to just sit in front of a computer and watch us, this is available on Spotify and Apple. So you can look up the Business and Bytes podcast and you will find us there. And I don't know about you, but I do a lot of podcasts listening in the car. And so if you'd rather listen to us and look at our pretty faces, then there's another option for you as far as being a part of this. But man, we really appreciate people. It's fun watching the numbers change on the screen as people come and listen to us. And look forward to talking next week about some more topics. Actually, not next week. We're taking Memorial Week off. So there'll be not a podcast this week, and then we'll be picking it back up the week after. So
week after.
And challenge us.
Have a great week. What's that?
Challenge us. Give us some challenges. Give us some topics to cover, because we want to make everything relevant.
So on the descriptions of these videos, or in the comments of these videos, if you have a question about AI, about cybersecurity, about technology in general, except for fancy toasters, I mean, unless somebody wants to answer that question about fancy toasters, throw a comment in the chat and we'll address your questions on the show. That's what we're here to do. And so thanks for being here. And we look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks.
See y'all next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.